Since we last sat down for the Rising Leaders in 2017, how have you grown as a person and as a leader?
Well, that's a nice question. I became a mom, which makes you change a lot. I think I'm a little more patient and, you know, uh, patient is probably the best word. Not everything has to be done today, right now, yesterday. But I think as far as leadership goes, I think that it really starts with you. Like I think that leadership is I'm on a team with everybody. There's not like really a hierarchy. And if my goal is I always come to a meeting prepared. And if I'm prepared, I think that creates the culture of everyone else coming prepared as well. And I really like to collaborate and I try and foster that like there's no dumb ideas. We will try most anything. I like working with multiple departments. I think that's how you have the most success. But I think for me, I'm just like, I'm not going to go in and ask something of other people that I'm not doing myself. So you need to go into everything really prepared. And then other people tend to show up the same way.
Where do you get the motivation to be the best leader possible for your team?
I'm really motivated by my team members. Like, I really care about everybody who works here personally. I feel like we're friends and we see each other all the time. So we all are close. I would hate to disappoint anyone I work with as much as I hate to disappoint anybody in my family at home. So I think it's just like a mutual sense of responsibility and respect towards one another. And then as a family owned company, I feel a lot of pride and I suppose like ownership of like the Blossman brand. And I really want to see it succeed and thrive and, be held in the esteem that it has been for 75 years. This is our 75th year in business. So we're going to do like a big campaign later in the year I'm excited about. But I want it to still be, known what it was in 1951 as it is now.
Is there anybody that they have like qualities that you try to follow when it comes to leadership?
Sure. My boss, Jesse Johnson, who retired a few years ago, he always used to say, there's like my story, your story, and the truth. And so I always try and keep that in mind whenever there's conflict anywhere. I'm like, okay, you just kind of have to take everything with the grain of salt and say, I understand your perspective. I also see your perspective, and it's probably somewhere in the middle. So it kind of helps not being like super reactionary on things. And I think there's a lot of people that I just work with internally that I'm like, oh, I really respect how, again, they always show up to meetings or how they lead this group or how they always seem to follow through when I ask for their help. So I don't know that I have somebody that I don't know that I look up to, but I have a lot of people that I do know that I look up to a lot.
Yeah. Do you think it's important for someone in a leadership position to be involved with organizations like PERC?
I think at least your state association. I think the state's associations do so much for the industry. So I think if you have the time and the bandwidth, and again, like when my kids were like babies, I did not, and that's fine too. Sometimes you don't have the time, but if you have the time and the bandwidth, I think at least getting involved in your state association, at least going to convention or at least going to the fall meeting or something and just like learning and networking and meeting people and getting involved. It's kind of like going to the Southeast or something. You kind of get similar opportunities, but it's people who have a more similar experience than you because they're geographically similar.
What advice would you give to a young, up and coming propane industry member who really wants to further themselves in their career and maybe end up where you are?
I think that being someone young and that enters into the propane industry I know that for me, it was a family owned company situation. So it was kind of inevitable because I basically like worked here my whole life. But for people that I know that just start, like the propane industry is so welcoming to young people and like young ideas. And if you want to come in and like make your mark and work hard, I truly think there's the like no limit. I would recommend finding a mentor. Again, I have had many. I'm very lucky for that. But I would say, go to your state association, or if you can't, look in your own company and find somebody that you are like, I really like how they, act and conduct business and conduct themselves and how they interact with others and, kind of trying to build a relationship with them. And I truly think if you're willing to learn and work hard, this industry is a great industry for young people to get into. I just don't think it's maybe as popular or as well known as others, but I think we're like all very, very welcoming to new ideas and fresh talent.